Have we seen Cam Ward in a Miami Hurricanes uniform for the final time? Maybe not.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday. We made it. I'm Alex Dono, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and writer for Canes County at Rivals. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return because new customers on FanDuel can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. On this loaded episode of Locked On Canes, we will talk some more season in review. Well, Miami has at least one more game to play. We'll tell you which bowl game they're projected to get into. We'll talk about the biggest transfer portal needs, and we're already seeing some targets emerge. Miami does have locked up a December 11th visit with a certain player, but I want to start with this as we bring in the truth teller.
Finally.
Bruce, Kane Sport has reported this week, as of midweek, there's actually some strong consideration reportedly on the part of Cam Ward to actually suit up and start Miami's bowl game. And we know, barring some kind of a seismic miracle, it's not going to be a college football playoff game. It's going to be a bowl game. And usually, guys who are on their way to the NFL, especially guys who are projected to be top 5 picks, typically will opt out of regular bowl games. But Cam Ward is considering opting in, Bruce.
I like it and I don't like it. I like it because it shows his competitiveness. He wants to play. I want to see him play again because I don't want to not see him anymore, but this is the last time possibly. On the flip side, if you start Emory Williams, you get to see what future could be because more than likely some of the receivers will be out. They're not going to play either. So you probably will see JoJo. You may see Nikar. And if you don't see them, obviously they bolted. So I do want to see him play, but I don't want to see him get hurt. And I would like to see Emory Williams play. I don't know how much of a big deal it is. And maybe he just feels like, you know what? The last 2 out of the last 3 games they lost, very sour taste in his mouth. He doesn't want to leave like that. So I could see him playing.
And he pledged, I think, before the season started to finish it out with Miami. Like he wants to show that he's, not just a guy who came in for himself because, I mean, Bruce, we know this. Cam Ward is the ultimate leader on this football team. I mean, he became from the second he came in back in last January, 11 months ago, he became the alpha. He became the leader of this football team. He believes in setting the example for his teammates. And I think it's incredible if he really wants to finish the job here. So like from a leadership standpoint, and I totally, by the way, I respect and I get everything you just said about the opportunity Miami could have to see Emory Williams play, maybe even Judd Anderson get some playing time. And maybe that could still happen even if Ward starts the game, but that might depend on how close the game is, whoever they match up against. But to me, like the idea of in this day and age where, 90% of guys who are about to become draft picks, it's just, and this only started, 10 years ago, this culture started of opting out of bowl games left and right. To have Cam Ward actually put team over himself, because, if he wasn't preparing for a bowl game, he would be spending the next 3 weeks, doing NFL-specific workouts. So he would be sacrificing his individual goals for team goals, which I think would be incredibly admirable. And like you said, he would also be risking injury. And I say that as a positive, that if he were to put those individual personal priorities aside in the interest of going out with a bang for his teammates. Because another thing, Bruce, I'm going to bring up, and I know, and I've fallen into this trap before as well. It's really easy for us to say, hey, you know what? I'd love to see all these young guys play in the Pop Tart Bowl or wherever they send us. We're projected to go in that Pop Tart Bowl in Orlando. But then, Bruce, you know what would happen? If we play a bunch of young guys and we lose that bowl game, the fan base is going to be angry about it. Like, it's easy for us to say, let's play all the kids. But then if they lose, we'll be saying, oh, we haven't won a bowl game since 2016. We've only won one bowl game since 2006. You know how that would go down. I would like to actually win a bowl game and maybe get some momentum heading into next year.
No, that's what we thought last year. I know Mario kept on saying, I want to win, and they got smoked by Rutgers.
Well, they got smoked, but it's not like we had a bunch of starters playing. I mean, we had Ja'Cory Brown at quarterback, and we had a bunch of defensive guys opt out last year.
I know. I'm just saying, listen, if Cam Ward plays, part of it could very well be, you know what? I thought I was the Heisman Trophy leader, and then halfway through the season, I'm not even in the top 3 anymore. You could say what you want about whether he wanted to win the Heisman or not, but he still has an ego. Most great athletes have egos. I don't think he wants to go out like this. I think he wants to go out winning the game and at least proving to himself, if nobody else, I am one of the best players in the country. And we all know it. And they got left out of the playoffs in favor of Alabama, who has nobody. That Milrose kid he's very average, very average. Yet he was preseason Heisman, top 3 or 4. But I think Ward does want to play. Again, I don't know who his agent is. I don't know family thought on this is, but his draft stock will not go down. Even if he goes 2 for 20, which is never going to happen. He's not stock's not going to go down. There's too many teams that need quarterbacks, including my stupid Giants. But
yeah, that's right.
But I listen, if he does play, we brought this up 3 minutes ago. I'm not so sure Restrepo won't play. Yeah, he may play because I don't think his draft stock's going anywhere. He's going to be picked where he's going to be picked. I'm assuming he's going to get picked. So why sit around? He's a competitive guy. He left a sour taste in most people's mouth, including his own, putting the ball on the floor 2 out of the last 3 games or the last 2 games. I don't think he wants that either as a lasting memory. So I wouldn't be surprised if they both play.
Yeah, I think if Ward were to decide to play, because again, he's the alpha, he's the leader of that locker room. I think if he decides to play, you would have a lot of other guys who maybe wouldn't have otherwise deciding to play, especially on offense. I don't know if that's going to be the same case for the defense, but especially on offense, I think you would have most guys opt in. And another sign, Bruce, that I think this might happen, and I don't want to get people's hopes too high in case this doesn't happen, because let me be clear. If Ward ultimately decides, preparing for the NFL draft is his priority, if that's what he decides, I will respect it, because that's just the reality of the situation. And I'm sure he'll have agents and scouts in his ear telling him, hey, you should probably think about yourself at this time. So I would totally understand either way. But another sign, Bruce, that I think this might happen is I'm hearing that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are both going to opt in and play the bowl game for Colorado. Ward is really close with Shedeur Sanders. They're really tight. They train together in the offseason. So I feel like if Sanders is opting in, that's probably an indication that Ward might do the same.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that could very well happen. But look, I don't think Arroyo is going to play, because you have to look at what the risks are. The downside for him is he's been injured. He can't get injured again.
Point.
So when you look at Arroyo, I think he's not going to play. Why should he play? Yeah. I mean, his draft stock can't get much higher if he catches 10 balls. He's going to be probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick, not a 1st. He's a tight end, but still, he's very good. That's a big risk, Not that many other players. Who else? Jacoby George? Jeez, I don't know what to say. Because if he has 10 catches, but he still has that major strike and that big cloud hanging over.
I was about to say Jacoby George should play and make it his personal goal. Get through the game without any unsportsmanlike conducts, and maybe that'll help his stock a little bit.
Get hit on a good play by the defensive back and get up and shake his hand or pat him on the helmet. But don't curse him out. Do something completely different.
Oh, my gosh.
But you know what, though?
Yeah.
I don't even know how Mario's looking at this. There's so many things going on besides just playing the bowl. So what bowl did you say?
So Miami is being projected to the POP TART Bowl, which is in the POP TART Bowl in Orlando. But now the opponent, we don't know. Like I've seen one projection that I looked at that had us playing against Iowa State, which is just obviously that's not an opponent that excites anybody. So
I heard Colorado.
I'd like to play against Colorado. Colorado is the team I'd like to play against.
Yeah, well, they'll probably beat us, and I don't want that. So,
I don't know if they would. Defense is optional for both teams, so it'd
That's
be like assuming Shador and Ward were to play in that game, it would be like 65-60.
Yeah, you'd have to have an NBA scoreboard, not a college scoreboard.
Oh man,
But
well, I want to
anyway,
talk. Yeah, but
go
Bruce,
ahead.
I
We
want
have
to.
go to a
Yeah,
break.
yeah. Well, I want to talk about transfer portal needs and targets,
Sure.
and I want to get the Truth Tellers season in review because I know that. Listen, Miami just did something that a lot of teams in the country would love to be 10-2 right now, but I get it. It also comes with the baggage of missing out on the ACC championship game and missing out on a clear path to the college football playoff. So we'll get the Truth Teller season in review. We'll talk about transfer portal needs and targets. You guys want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Oh, I'm so glad Mint Mobile is with us. Guys, I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It's got to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with a purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. And it turns out, yeah, it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was actually the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. There, you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone, by the way, with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. That's mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. $45 upfront payment required. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for details. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Guys, make sure for your next listen you check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs and I are going to have a new episode later on tonight. We'll talk about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick reportedly interested in the North Carolina head coaching job, college. Bruce, when I saw that report, I thought, oh, this has got to be a fake report, but apparently Bill Belichick is interested in coaching college. So can you imagine
what's
him?
so far-fetched about that? He's got a 24-year-old girlfriend, and he would be on campus at North Carolina. God knows how many girlfriends he could get. Are you kidding me? Of course he wants to go to North Carolina. Wouldn't you?
You know what? That's an unbelievable point. He could shop for his next girlfriend.
Yeah, this one's 24. There could be 18 and 19-year-olds in his life.
All right, so we're already seeing, and by the way, guys, we're not nearly even done ramping up the transfer portal because the portal's not officially even open yet, but we're seeing names around the country already declaring into the transfer portal. A bunch of quarterbacks already, like Miller Moss from USC, Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma, Caden Salter from Liberty. They're hitting the portal. A bunch of guys at other positions. And Bruce, I think Miami's going to go shopping again this year. Mario Cristobal made it very clear that Miami's going to be aggressive in the transfer portal. What are your priorities? Which positions do you look at and say, this is where we got to get some guys?
Well, you have to start with the defense. But I'll look to the offense. We still need to look in the portal because if we can upgrade, you got to do it. You can't just – I think you have – now, if it's a ridiculous amount of money or the person's not a fit, also depends on if Dawson's going to be back, right? I think we have to look at wide receiver again. Tight end, we're okay. I think we're okay, because we have 2 new tight ends coming in, plus we have what's left over. Offensive line, always. Center, obviously. I think you mentioned something about a center.
Yeah, Miami's got a center visiting, Jordan White from Liberty. He played guard last year at Liberty, but he played center the year before. I think Miami's going to look at him to be a center. He's going to be visiting Jordan White. He's 6'2", 300 pounds. He's going to be visiting on December 11th.
Seems a little short for me, but excuse me. So defensively, everywhere. Defensive line,
Yeah.
defensive tackle, linebacker, corner, safety, all of it.
Safety to me is number one. Safety, and like you also need corners, but at least at corner, I feel pretty good about OJ Frederick and a healthy Damari Brown next year. Where at safety, you're losing Mish Powell, and obviously Jaden Harris did not pan out this year the way we hoped he would.
Well, you still have Zaquan, so he'll be there. He'll start.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So they'll be fine. I think they'll be okay. They have a couple of young kids, but they're kids. But we've had a lot of players play the last 15 years as true freshmen. The linebackers that we had all three of those kids years ago that were all freshmen, true freshmen right from the get-go. They played.
Right.
They made mistakes, but they played. I just think he's got to get at least 7 or 8 defensive starters if he's going to not just players, starters from defense and 1 or 2 from offense. I keep hearing we're going to lose 15, 16 guys. And we don't know who those names are. I don't want to really speculate.
We only know one, Reese Poffenbarger.
Yeah. Well, whatever. He wasn't going to play. He was here before we got Ward. And once Ward got here, his days were numbered. So, but I think they have to be aggressive. The other issue is the season in review business that's up here. More important to me, even not maybe more, but from the coaching aspect. When you looked at the Florida game, as we've said it multiple times, that was the best game and it went downhill. And I said this before. I don't understand how they could practice against this offense. Offensively, with the receivers and the backs and the massive offensive line, how do you practice against that for 13 or 14 weeks, 3 or 4 months, and not get better? They got worse. And every time after the game, we'll have to address this. And then Mario would say, well, we had a hard week of practice. We had a bye week, I think twice. They didn't get any better. They got worse. They looked horrible the other day against Syracuse. Horrible. And, it's just like, what are they practicing? I'm not so sold on the defensive back coach either. I'm not sold on Guidry. Do I think he should leave? It's not my place to say, but they didn't do anything. I kept on saying, play more zone, play more zone, play more zone. Nope. So I think they really have to look within and see what's going on because they did not get better. The defensive line got worse. The linebackers, bad years, but Saints had some moments. Now we know it had some moments, but there was no consistency. And I keep hearing the same word over and over again, communication. Remember when we had Leon on 2 years ago?
Yes.
What did Leon say about playing when you don't have the same guys back? The communication level is bad. So we had all these guys last year that came in. We had this guy and that guy. We're going to be great. The best defensive line in the country. We were laughing at Florida State's defensive line. What did we do? We played terribly. I don't understand it. So one game we played well against Wake Forest because the defense went up the field, they were aggressive. Yeah. The other day, they were horrible again. Bain had a horrible year. Barron had a horrible year. That's 2 defensive ends. Yeah. So they need talent, but they better work on those coaching staff and what they're working on.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, and a lot of it, I think they need better off-season preparation where they need to have a plan B and C because, when they had the whole off-season to prepare for Florida and they played incredibly well against Florida, but they didn't adapt during the season, Bruce. So I think the off-season prep needs to really just have more depth and more depth partially with the talent. It's why they need to bring in more defensive talent, but they also they need to prepare better because you get the staff 4 or 5 months to prepare for one opponent, and they looked incredible. I had an awesome conversation with Casey McDermott a couple days ago, former offensive lineman, who mentioned that, hey, it's really hard to change who you are in the middle of the season. And okay, so obviously they needed to do better prep preseason, in my opinion, and we also need more depth of talent on defense, Bruce, because I get it. No one's ever going to be 100% healthy in November, right? I mean, you're going to be playing through injury issues. Maybe some guys are on the field who shouldn't be there, but that's why you need more talent behind these guys as well.
But I understand the comment about having months to prepare. But after that, it's week to week. How
Yes,
come?
exactly.
Excuse me. How come in the 11 weeks following that, or 11 games,
Yeah.
would most of you agree that we were outcoached in almost every one of them? Maybe not the Wake Forest game, but every other one. Was it not the next two? We were 3-0, whatever. Then we started to play who? Vatek, or who'd we play? South Florida. They looked okay
Yeah.
for a while against us, and then
Yeah, for a
after
while.
that, the last 8 games, every one of them was a struggle except Wake Forest. Why is that? Why are the other teams so prepared against us? Louisville looked good. Cal looked good. These teams look pretty good. We lost to Georgia Tech, outcoached.
Yes.
Syracuse down 21-0. They came back and beat us 21-0. That's usually like this game's over. So it's not just the players, it's the staff, and they better fix it. I don't know how they're going to fix it. Maybe, just maybe, before he came here, when we were hearing, oh, Oregon, they're not that upset he's gone. He's not that great a game day coach. And everybody said that. And maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. You know, when Butch was here, I heard the same thing. I would hear the same thing. And we go down to the school, and we didn't just say, Butch, what's wrong with you? But, but when the players got so good and they were so talented, it's hard to screw up. And, Coker was the offensive coordinator, and the defensive guys were pretty darn good. They had good players.
Oh, yeah.
But this team, I don't think the players are that good, which means the evaluations aren't so great. They can't mess this up anymore.
Right. And listen, when you're as a head coach, when you're more of the CEO, when you're the program builder, you need to make sure that the assistants, especially the coordinators you surround yourself with, are 100% the right people. So that's why, listen, whatever Cristobal decides to do, and he says it every offseason, like we use the offseason as an opportunity to upgrade both personnel-wise and on the staff. So if you're going to make tweaks and hopefully upgrades this offseason, you need to get that stuff right, Bruce, because again, listen, you can absolutely win with a head coach who's a program builder and a CEO. You absolutely can. And I still believe in Mario. I believe in Mario 1,000%, but he's got to get the right people coaching every position and coordinating his units. And I hope Shannon Dawson stays, because I think obviously you're losing Cam Ward, who makes an offensive coordinator look very, very smart, but I still think Dawson has this offense on the right track, and I'd like some continuity there. But I think on defense, you've got some difficult questions you're going to have to answer this offseason.
I don't know if Dawson's head coach material, but he may be at his highest peak right now, smaller school, because he's had Ward. He can walk around and say, I had Cam Ward. Look what we did. We scored, 50 points a game. That may be his best shot. I don't know if he's head coach material. And I know Guidry, if you ask me, if he stays, that's a big problem because it never adjusted. And again, the coverage was, have you ever seen coverage like this? Have you ever seen missed tackles, bad angles, defensive linemen just getting bounced all over the place? How does so many people got worse? They got worse. Porter got worse. Now Noah got worse. I mean, obviously Barron got worse in its own season, not from one season. He was worse. So it's frightening. So I think a lot of people that 10-2 is a house of cards. They could have been 6-6, 7-5 very easily.
It could have been 11-1 pretty easily too.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Positivity.
I'm saying, like
you should have been 11-1. They were up 21-0 for goodness sakes. And that was
and listen,
the biggest game of the year, the playoff.
And for as bad as the defense was in that Syracuse game, you were still basically one fumble, scoop and score the other way from still winning that game by a player who has been one of the best Miami Hurricanes ever, who happened to make a mistake.
I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him.
So do I.
That's why I say he may play. He wants to get the bad taste out of his mouth with a U helmet on.
Well, let's come back, Bruce, and I want to take a look at a few names that are in the transfer portal, a few more names that Miami might be interested in. We mentioned they're going to bring in Jordan White, center, interior offensive lineman, I should say, from Liberty, in for a visit. But there's some other players Miami should be taking a long, hard look at. You guys want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Oh, we're not done yet with FanDuel. Guys, we got bowl season coming up, college football playoff coming up, all the NFL action. Get ready to tackle that with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with that $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you for making this Truth Teller Friday episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. So Bruce Warner, we mentioned safeties. There's a couple of really good ones that are hitting the portal. Purdue safety Dylan Thieneman, who's everyone's going to be after this dude. I know Purdue was terrible. That was not his fault.
Right.
Totaled 210 tackles, 6 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles over the last couple of years. This guy he's just waiting to get on, a better football team to go out there and dominate. Another one that I really like, FAU safety CJ Hurd. He's being pursued already by Colorado, Houston, Miami, Georgia Tech, and SMU. He wouldn't have to go far from Boca if he comes down to Coral Gables.
Yeah,
somebody posted the stat on CJ Hurd. He posted more tackles this past year than Jaden Harris and Mish Powell combined. Just him in one season posted more tackles than those guys together.
That's sad. You know what else is sad? Who on the defense are you afraid of if you're an offensive coordinator? Who do you have to stay away from? Nobody. Not, maybe they'll double team Bain, but that was coming off last year's
Bain. I think Bain's going to come on strong again next year. He was hurt for half the season and playing through injury for most of the other part of the year. I think Bain's going to be that would normally have been the guy that you would have to scheme against.
Who on this roster do you think that you don't want to leave? Might just, go into the portal. Is there anybody out that you're concerned? I don't expect it, but who would that be?
I would hate to lose like one of the young running backs who didn't play a lot. I don't want to lose Chris Johnson because I still think his speed is a weapon that they haven't really unlocked yet. If Miami were to lose him, it would feel a lot like losing Brashard Smith, how it's like this guy has a lot more to give. We just didn't quite get there yet. I would certainly hate to lose any of the young receivers who didn't play a lot this year. I understand why they didn't play a lot, because when you have a solid, 4-man rotation of veteran guys who are, you can understand why some of the young guys didn't see the field a whole lot. I don't want to lose any of the young receivers. I don't know, anybody else you think of? And Bruce, I know most of the players who are going to leave in the portal, if it really is 15 to 20 or 10 to 15, most of the guys Miami is going to lose are going to be guys who leave because they're not going to get playing time here, and they're going to look for opportunity. But like you said, that there's I would hate to lose Pancake Honcho. He hasn't played a whole lot. This is a former 5-star recruit with a ton of potential on the offensive line. I'd hate to lose a guy like that.
Yeah, well, but they're going to leave. Some of these guys are going to leave. Maybe something like Kinsler or some of these other guys might leave. I don't know where they stand, but they haven't gotten in much in their first 2 years here. So I don't think Riley Williams is going any place. The sad part is there's not that many that I could care if they go or they stay.
Yeah.
There's guys, but still.
Which is actually a good thing, because then you have a chance, if you move on from some players who are not part of the plan, you can hopefully replace them with guys who are.
Yeah, but they have to hit on it. They can't miss. They can't keep missing on guys. Yeah. And I don't know who's doing the evaluating. They probably need more staff in the evaluation portion of this. Well,
I like, your friend and mine, Gary Furman from Kane Sport, has brought up that they really should invest more in an NFL style scouting department.
Yeah, they really should.
I agree. They should. Yeah.
They need to identify these kids at a much earlier place. 8th grade, 9th grade. They need to be on these kids much earlier, because still to this day, Miami hasn't really recruited me that much, and now they want me badly, and it's too late. It's too late for Alford. He didn't come here, right? We
No,
lost.
he didn't.
We didn't get Pickett.
No.
I don't know. I don't know about him. I don't know about him. But there's guys we just didn't get. We didn't get Jeremiah Smith. We did get Josh Moore, right?
Yeah,
We
that's
did
a
get
huge get, by
Malachi
the way.
Tony. Malachi Tony signed.
Yeah.
But I want the real studs. That's what I want. And that's why I keep thinking Justin Scott. He didn't play that much. I don't know if he was hurt, but he has a big upside. Look how high he was recruited. So I think he'll get a lot of playing time next year.
He might be a starter next year. He might be.
I think he will be a starter.
Maybe him and Ahmad Moten.
Could be, and that wouldn't be so bad. But I keep hearing they're going to move Bain to the inside.
Yeah,
because I just don't see him with. He's got a good first step, but he gets caught up in the traffic a lot. So if you take away the glory of these sacks and put him in the middle where he's tenacious and he's commanding a double team, and he can get up the field in a push and collapse that pocket, that's what they need. So he might be better off. He's not long-legged. He's stocky. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm coughing so much.
Because Miami football has taken its toll on you for these past several days. So when Bruce, by the way, the next time we get together on Tuesday, I want to talk a little bit because we'll have the final playoff committee ranking. So Miami's snub will more than likely be official by then. But we can also talk about what's brewing with transfer portal quarterback if Miami's going to be bringing a guy in, because I think there's a whole debate to be had there. But we appreciate your time today. Truth teller Bruce Warner. Appreciate everybody for tuning in and making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. And folks, buckle up, because the transfer portal is not even open yet, and you're already seeing dozens, if not hundreds, of names, players you recognize around the country that are getting into the portal. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks coming up, and we'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We're part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.